As we all know, Total War Warhammer's right on the horizon. Honestly, only a couple weeks away. And from what I've seen so far from the streamers and YouTubers who have been able to play the game early, play in that early build and show us what we can. Of course, they're embargoed, so they can't give us a review of the game until full release date. From what I've seen, though, I think I have a pretty good prediction on what the DLC for said game is going to entail. Okay? And because this game is mainly about chaos and, it's slow tide that's taking over the realm, I feel like there's going to be a rebuttal. And just like in the lore, the reaction to chaos that Sigmar gave us was the Stormcast Eternals. And you'd probably be wondering, like, well, how would that work? Well, considering they're not a civilization, they're only there as a military force. Their lore is honestly very, very interesting. Every time that one of them dies, they are technically immortal, but their body has to be reforged. Their soul is eternal, but their body has to be reforged, and that process strips away layers of their personality and who they were as people. Every single one of them was a champion of humanity, and Sigmar retained their soul for this project. And now that the time of chaos had been beaten back, the Stormcasts were not necessarily needed at the time. But now that chaos is coming back, I think if Games Workshop wanted to make a fun, interesting little DLC to bring the Stormcast in, and also because they are champions of humanity, if we could get a style of customization like the Demon Prince, because honestly, having the ability to personalize your legendary lord is beautiful, and honestly, I can't appreciate it enough. But not everyone wants to play demons. I'd much rather play a big burly dude, 8 foot tall, and a shiny golden piece of armor, and absolutely whopping people with a two-handed hammer. How their mechanics would work, I think that they would necessarily not be a capture settlements and control them, but more so they jump onto friendly encampments and create a Stormcast base there, like in the lore. They don't reproduce. They don't, they are forged from dead heroes. And, how they'd come back, just makes them reforged. And maybe every time your legendary lord dies in battle, he can have a role to either, get a better, either you get a good trait or a bad trait from your reforging. So maybe we could have a system like that. Honestly, anything would be. They're my favorite part from the Age of Sigmar board game, and I would really love to see them, on the battlefield, walloping around. Now, the Time of Beast, as it's called now in the game, the orcs look stupid. Don't bring those into the game, please. No, just don't. But if we could have the modern Stormcast Eternal units come in, the Annihilators, huge dudes, big hammers, shields, walloping people, there's a lot of opportunity there. And they do have a ability. Maybe it's a unit ability that allows them to teleport to different areas, because that's a Annihilator's trait. There is ranged units. Considering they're a heavy melee faction, it's all about beating down the enemy, and it's all about pushing back the tide of chaos. I think it would be a nice addition. Games Workshop might not. I mean, who in the Warhammer community doesn't like an 8 foot tall, burly dude pounding the butt of some demon, Like, I'm just saying. And considering this is probably going to be the last installment of Total War Warhammer Fantasy, for at least a little while. I think Stormcast Eternals are a little overdue, but now that we have a mechanic that allows you to fully customize a legendary lord, I really hope that they bring that into another faction or other factions. Even if it's a secondary lord, that I can customize, I would appreciate that. Now, I'm not saying this is going to come out soon, but it's definitely overdue. I thought we were going to get it in Total War Warhammer 2, but, I'll take it if it's in 3. Even if it's a $30 or $40 DLC and it's a huge expansion, I would definitely pay for it. I'm super excited about the game, and I'm really excited about the potential DLC. I hope it's not a whole bunch of lords for nations and factions I don't care about that come with some units that I care about. That really irks me. I don't want to have to buy $15 or $20 of an expansion to get 1 or 2 units that I'm actually going to use. But an entire faction in one DLC that adds, a huge dynamic to everyone else that's not a Chaos player would be icing on the cake that I honestly am ready to enjoy when it releases. So, on that note, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one, and I'll see you on stream tonight.